Welcome to the COBB Downpipe installation guide for the Fiesta ST. Before we get started, you'll need an 8, 10, 13, and 15mm deep socket and ratchet, an O2 sensor socket, and we highly recommend ratcheting wrenches and extensions. Your COBB Downpipe should look like this. Because of the cat, there's no nasty gas smell. Start by opening the hood. Then go ahead and safely jack up your Fiesta. Remove the rubber caps on the wiper arms. Remove the two 15mm nuts securing the windshield wipers. Then wiggle the wiper arms to remove them from their shafts. Don't worry, you won't break them. Then remove the 10mm bolt securing the cowl on each side and unclip the vacuum line from the cowl. Now we'll remove the 6 clips that secure the inner and outer cowl panels to each other that run along the edge of the windshield. Gently pull up to unseat it and then remove the outer cowl panel and set it aside. Remove the 10mm bolts securing each side of the inner cowl panel. Then you can remove the inner cowl panel and set it aside. Now go ahead and remove your engine cover and set that aside. Then disconnect the PCV line by squeezing its connector. Next, use a flathead or 7mm to loosen the clamp that secures the intake's midsection to the flex section. Do the same for the turbo side clamp on the other side. After loosening the clamps, wiggle the intake's midsection to get it free and remove it. Moving under the car, remove the two 15mm nuts securing the exhaust to the downpipe. Disconnect the two O2 sensor harnesses. Here's the first one. Squeeze and it disconnects. And here's the second. It's blue and once again squeeze and it releases. Now loosen and remove the 10mm bolt securing the downpipe bracket. Moving under the car, remove the 4 13mm nuts securing the downpipe bracket from below. While you have these out, it's a great time to consider installing a COBB rear motor mount. Remove the downpipe's bracket plate. Then remove the downpipe bracket itself, and we can go ahead and discard that as we're not going to be using it again. Now loosen and remove the 3 10mm bolts securing the header's heat shield. Moving under the car, loosen and remove the 2 10mm bolts securing the downpipe's heat shield. This other one's kinda hidden and a little tricky, but that one's there as well. Again, it's a 10mm bolt. Now you can go ahead and remove the header heat shield and set that aside. It may take a bit of finesse to get it out, but it will come out. Now remove the 10mm bolt securing the downpipe heat shield that's now plainly visible. There's a second 10mm below it that's a little bit harder to see, but it's there. Remove the downpipe heat shield and set that aside. Loosen and remove the Upstream O2 sensors. Moving under the car, now we'll loosen and remove the three 10mm nuts securing the downpipe itself. This is the part where a ratcheting wrench really comes in handy. Moving back under the car, now we'll remove the OEM downpipe. It takes a bit of wrestling, but it will come out. With the downpipe out of the car, remove the Downstream O2 sensor from the OEM downpipe. Transfer the metal gasket ring from the OEM downpipe to the COBB downpipe. Now we're ready to install our downpipe. Carefully guide the COBB downpipe into place. It's much easier to fit in there than the stock one was. Now we'll reinstall the three 10mm nuts that secure the downpipe to the turbo. Now we'll install the Upstream O2 sensor into the COBB downpipe. Be sure to use some anti-seize on the threads of the O2 sensor to prevent it from seizing. Now we'll tighten down the Upstream O2 sensor. Reconnect the Upstream O2 sensor harness. Now we'll install the Downstream O2 sensor into the COBB downpipe. Once again, be sure to use anti-seize on the threads to keep it from seizing. Then go ahead and tighten down the Downstream O2 sensor. After tightening it down, we'll go ahead and reconnect the harness. Here we go, here's our blue connector for the Downstream O2 sensor. And we're going to go ahead and match it up with the matching harness. There you have it. Use the supplied two 15mm nuts and bolts to connect the downpipe to the catback. Moving back up top, reinstall your intake arm. Be sure to tighten down all the hose clamps. After reconnecting the intake, reinstall the engine cover. Now we'll reinstall the inner cowl panel. Guide that into place. Then reinstall the 10mm bolt that secures it on each side. Now we'll reinstall the outer cowl panel. Be sure it seats properly. Now reinstall the 6 clips that secure it. After installing the clips, be sure to reinstall the vacuum line clip that goes up top. Now we'll seat the wiper arms onto the shafts. Get them snug, then reinstall the 15mm nuts and then the rubber caps once they're tight. Be sure to double check your work, but that's it. That's the COBB Downpipe with the COBB Catback. While the downpipe itself won't make a huge difference in terms of sound by itself, it will make a noticeable difference in terms of power and torque you'll feel from the driver's seat. Here's the sound of a stock car with the stock exhaust. Compare that to the car fitted with the COBB Downpipe and Catback. The sound is fantastic. With your COBB Downpipe installed, your exhaust will have a slightly different note and you'll have a huge increase in power and torque you'll feel every time you press the pedal. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.